is all of that, but I am going to share with you guys some for me, and how that ties into the importance of life insurance. And I know those two words, it's kind of like, we don't want to talk about that. Because when you think of life insurance, what's the first word that comes to your mind? Absolutely. And the thing is, it's called life insurance for a reason. It's not called death insurance, right? And so I'm just going to share a little bit with you about the importance of life insurance and how it can give benefits to your family while you're alive. Okay. And if you are interested in, learning more, I will be here in the back. I can take your information. We can do a consultation for you. And we can just kind of go over some things that we offer with my company, okay? And as Apostle stated, my name is Cheryl Stewart. I'm from Atlanta, but I'm born and raised in Chicago. And so I'm with a firm called PHP Agency, and we are a brokerage firm. Who's heard of Mutual of Omaha? All right, who's heard of like National Life Group, American National? Okay, so those are some of the companies that we represent. And just a little bit about life insurance. We offer what's called living benefits. Living benefits is simply something that it comes on your policy if you get sick with a critical illness, a chronic or a terminal illness. You can access money in your life insurance policy to kind of help you float, because when you get sick, what's the first thing to leave? Your income, right? Because you can't work. Well, let me just share a little bit about my story. I was 26 years old and I started dialysis. But what's the first thing young people say? Man, I'm young, I don't need no life insurance. But that is so far from the truth. That is the time that you should get it, when you're young and healthy, because that's when it's the cheapest. So I started dialysis at 26, and at the time I had no idea about the information that's out here now. And if I had known about living benefits, and I would have had a policy with living benefits, do you know I could have gotten multiple six figures to kind of help me and my family to coast along, because dialysis is very expensive. Mount Sinai people, you guys know, right? Dialysis is very expensive. So I could have took the stress off of my husband. I could have took the stress off of my family had I known. But that's the biggest missing piece. We don't know. The information is not in our communities. And so that's what I am here to share. I'm here to make sure that we get the information out, because a lot of our communities feel there's only one type of insurance, and it's just term life insurance. And that is so far from the truth. So it's important, because not only do you want to have living benefits in case you get sick, but will your family have to do a GoFundMe for you if something happened to you? Who would take care of your children if you passed away today? Would the family have to raise money selling chicken dinners or fish dinners to bury you? And it's so unfair. If you truly love your family, I would say take a moment, sit down, get educated with a licensed professional. Because people think like, oh, it's too expensive, I don't want another bill. No, it's called responsibility, okay? Look at your children. Do you want somebody to struggle having to take care of them if something happened to you? So that's what we're here to do. We're here to share education with you. I do have some surveys, which I'll run to my car because I forgot them in my car. But I have some surveys, and it's just basically asking some real questions that we never really take the time to think about. You know, it's like we want to think about it after the fact. You don't want to talk about death. You don't want to think about, oh, well, man, what is going to happen if I pass away? What will happen if I get sick? What will happen if I lose my job because I can't work anymore? So these are important key things that we really need to talk about, okay? So if you want a consultation with me, please, by all means, I'll be in the back. I'll take your name and number. I'll put you on my calendar, and we can just go over all of the products and services that we offer, because I don't want to take too much time to go over all of those things. But let me ask you, where are all my people who are retiring or ready to retire in maybe 5 years, 10 years, already retired? Only you, Bishop?
No, everybody else retired. I got a few more years that I'm looking for. Everybody else is already retired, I think.
So, okay, who all in here has a 401k with their jobs? 403b, TSP, all of those. Okay. So, did you know? Let me just say this first. We see our elders in Walmart when we go on Walmart as greeters, right? Why is that? Can anybody tell me why? I'm sorry, say it again.
They need supplement.
Absolutely. That's because nobody educated them on a product that can give them a lifetime income. So 401ks, they run out. You have to pay taxes on it, number one. And if you're before 59 and a half, you're gonna get penalized if you touch your money, okay? So what if I told you there's something out there that will provide you a lifetime income and you'll never lose? It's called an annuity, guys, but our communities don't know about it. So that's why you see our elders at Walmart as greeters, because they have to supplement their income, because they were not educated on everything else that's out there besides a retirement plan at your job. Oh, well, I have life insurance on my job. It's not enough. You need your own personal policy, because these companies have loopholes to where they won't pay you if you pass away. They don't have to pay out if they don't want to, because they're the owner of that policy. So if you're interested in learning more, please, by all means, give me your name and number. We can set up a consultation for you, no cost to you at all, and I can sit down and educate you properly so that you can make an informed decision. Not just something somebody is telling you need, but you can make an informed decision as to what is best for you and your family, okay? Because we don't want the GoFundMe, because sometimes GoFundMe, they don't even pay out. They take fees, and sometimes if it's a large amount, they will hold that money and will not release it. So take control of your own destiny, take control of your family's legacy, and get your own products, okay? And I'll have any questions, I'll be in the back. You guys can ask me any questions you have, okay? I thank you, Bishop. I thank you, Apostle.
Can you take about
yes, sir.
take 3 minutes and just take a random question? Just
Sure,
3 minutes.
I can take a couple questions. Anybody have any questions?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
If I have a term life insurance policy now, can I convert it to one of those policies that you're talking about that has living benefits?
Absolutely. So if you currently have your own private policy and it's a term policy, you can convert that to something that has living benefits with one of our companies. That is definitely something you can do. Yes, sir.
Can you explain living benefits a little bit more?
Sure. Yes, sir. So living benefits, I'm going to give you a story. I have one of my colleagues in Oak Brook, Illinois. At the time, he was 38. This was 2 years ago. He was 38 years old, perfectly healthy, no health issues, nothing. And he was at home with his children. All of a sudden, they thought Daddy was sleeping, taking a nap. But in reality, he was having a major stroke, okay, out of nowhere. And so, of course, he had to stop working. And the wife, she's also a life insurance agent, so she was at the office. Well, he had to be airlifted to Northwestern. This man had to learn how to walk again, he had to learn how to talk again, and feed himself again. But the beauty of living benefits, his wife called one of our companies that he had a policy with, and it was a term policy. He had living benefits. National Life Group sent his wife over $250,000 so that they could continue on. He didn't have to uproot his family. They paid off their house, did everything that they needed to do because he had that policy with living benefits. So that is the plus of having living benefits. For somebody who's had dialysis, like myself, had 2 transplants, I'm not insurable. But do you understand how much I wish I could have had a life insurance policy with living benefits? It would have saved me a lot of stress. So I admonish you today, if you don't have it, please get it. And honestly, you can get something very affordable. Don't look at it as another bill. Look at it as this is a necessity, a non-negotiable, okay? Because let's just be honest. How many of us blow $100 a week at the restaurant? I will be the first to put my hand up. My kids are very expensive. They like steak and lobster and stuff, so I blow a couple $100 a week. It's very affordable. Any other questions right now? No? Don't be scared. Don't be scared. Oh, yes, ma'am. Go back here, stop. So the companies that we work with, we don't do family policies, but we do have policies that are very, very affordable. Like for my daughter, she's 17. I pay like $14 for her policy. So it's very affordable, and it comes with living benefits. So, I mean, you can't beat that. Anybody else? One more question? Oh. Y'all, I lost my hearing aids, so please forgive me if I have to go out again. Yeah, question? get something for them separately. But if you got one, you can't put kids on as riders. You can do that. But what I always encourage people to do is give children their own policies in case they need the living benefits down the road. Because let's just face it, sickness, they don't discriminate. Sickness does not discriminate. Children get ill just as well as adults do. So that's the whole purpose of having the benefits and having their own policies for each kid. So if you all have any more questions, like I said, I'll be in the back. And thank you so much for your attention. Thank you so much, Bishop, and Apostle. I appreciate it. Come on, let's celebrate.
Cheryl, thank you so much, Cheryl. At this time, I am going to call my friends from Mount Sinai, Dr. Shaw, Trudy Gannon. You guys can come right on up and just take us away.
I have a question. I won't be 70 on July 7th.
Thanks,
but I'll be
everyone.
70
I've
this
met a
year.
lot of you
So should
before.
I do?
How about that sermon?
What's your
It
mother?
turned my power on. I got a lot of energy
She
now,
gonna answer the phone.
like instant coffee. So, one thing we talked about as we developed this relationship is I really wanted to help you guys learn about things that you all wanted to hear about. And there's a lot of topics that we're going to talk about. We will hopefully really ramp this up now that it's warm. And today I want to introduce our nutrition team from Sinai. Truly is here, her team. I think this is something you all want to hear about. And we talk about health, and yeah, things can get bad and then we can try to fix them. But I think this is more important than anything we do because food is medicine. And these tips, the things that Truly and team are going to share with us, I think can really help you. I read some of the takeaways and I learned a lot. So I want to introduce her. This is the first time I'm actually meeting her in person. So thank you very much, and let's learn.
Well, thank you for the wonderful service today too. Which this one? Okay, my voice has been very strong, so I need the strongest microphone possible. Okay, so my name is Truly. This is Tiffany, and Alex is also here. Oh, there she is. We are from Sinai, as mentioned, but we're going to talk a little bit about nutrition, just a simple healthy diet, but there's a lot of things that claim to be healthy, right? You could probably name some of the myths out there of what a healthy diet might be, and I'll kind of give away my age a little bit. I grew up in the era of everything had to be fat-free. I mean, I was in the kitchen baking my favorite goods without all the yummy fat and butter, and my parents would be like, Truly, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm making fat-free chocolate chip cookies, full of sugar, don't worry, that was still there. But as you know, now sugar is now a problem too. So we can't just take away all of the wonderful nutrients that we have. We have to make healthy choices in moderation. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Like, what is a general healthy diet? Thank you, Selah, for coming up here with us. This is my daughter, Selah. You want to say hi, Selah? Hi. Okay, so anyway, one thing that we can talk about today is just limiting those processed foods, right? My grandma, she would eat pot roasts every single day of her whole entire life. We don't want to do that, obviously. But one thing she didn't grow up with was all of the processed foods that we have. And she lived to a ripe old age of 94 years old. So, so my feeling is, the processed foods that we have today, they're just too much, right? So we want to make sure we limit those refined, simple sugars, which provide calories, which is great, but they're not always the best calories for us. Getting more of the complex carbs instead of those white, sugary, simple carbohydrates, they can And that's just, if we just increase our fruits and vegetables, get more colors on our plates, that can be huge in improving our diets. Just making half of our plate vegetables could be the difference between a healthy and an unhealthy plate. We want to focus on our whole grains and rice and breads and cereals. The browner the better. So, and then when I was growing up, obviously fat was not such a good thing, but now we're noticing that we want to just choose the better fats. So what are some of the better fats? It's those omega-3s in our salmon and tuna and mackerel. We also want to choose plant fats instead of those saturated fats that are in butters or lard or bacon. Sorry. But yeah, bacon is a very, very high in saturated fat, which isn't good for our hearts. And so we want to take good care of our hearts. And when we choose the plant fats, that's the better option too. And then portion control. You can still have all of the wonderful things that you grew up loving. Grandma's peach cobbler. Like, you don't have to give everything up, but if it's just a small portion, that's what we're going for. And then I don't have my PowerPoint with me, so I'm kind of going through what's in my head. But how many of you have seen the food label on the packages of food? Right? Yes. It can be a little confusing. There's a lot of numbers on there. So I'm just going to break it down. What do you think the most important part of the food label actually is? Anybody have an idea? Yes, over here. That is a good choice, and calories are very important, but it's a math problem on there. So portion size is the most important part, because if you get the serving size wrong, all of those numbers on there are wrong too. Because if you eat 2 portions, you have to multiply everything by 2. So if you think you're only getting 100 calories, because that's what it says, if you eat 4 portions, you're actually getting 400, right? So one thing to think about when you see the percentages, just a real quick takeaway, 20%, if it's over 20%, that's a high. And if it's less than 5%, that's a low intake. So just something to take away from that. And then the last thing to think about is just healthier cooking methods like grilling and baking and simmering and braising. You can fry, but it should probably be air fried, right? So, and then poaching and what else did I say? Oh, and sauteing. So using a little bit of oil, that's fine, but not filling up the pan so it soaks up all the oil. So that's my little portion, and then I have Tiffany over here. She's going to finish this off.
Good morning. There we go. Okay. So the thing that I'll be talking about today with you guys is going to be sodium intake. That's something that we should be monitoring daily. We don't want to exceed that 3,000 milligrams per day if we can help it. If we're hypertensive, we usually want to stay below that 2 milligrams. So about 2,600, if you would. We know that a teaspoon is about that 2,600 milligrams. So we want to be mindful when we're, seasoning our food, making those marinades. We want to go for other things, so natural herbs, spices, try different blends, try different cuisines as well. So that's something I encourage my patients to do often, would be to try something different. So, we've got those 5 spices that we like to use. Expand your horizons, try different things. Some things that we know that have a lot of sodium are those processed and convenience foods. So we do want to look to limit those as much as we can. It's kind of hard because we're all living busy lives, right? So we're constantly on the go, looking for a healthy option. So when possible, please try to choose that healthy option. A lot of restaurants or fast food chains, we don't know that they have healthy options because we don't think to ask. We're just assuming, fries, maybe coleslaw, maybe some, wilted green beans, but you can always ask, see what other options there are too. Also, we want to monitor our intake from, pizza, cold cuts. They have a lot of sodium. That's how we get them to last so long. So if you think about it, if it's pretty shelf stable, kind of like Spam, for instance, we know that one's full of sodium. So we want to avoid that as much as possible too. Okay, so some ways that you can amplify your flavors, like I mentioned before, fresh herbs and spices, try those fresh herbs. They're easy to grow, so that's something that you can do, as a project if you have small children. Go ahead and grow those small seeds, microgreens. They sprout within a couple weeks. Get those horticulture and, agricultural skills working, okay? Some other things that we can use to intensify flavor and make it seem like we are using sodium. Using vinegars, citruses also work very well. So lemon, lime, you can use the zest as well as the juices to incorporate flavors and change it up a little bit. Okay. The next thing I'd like to go over with you guys is portion sizes. So as Truly said, reading your food labels and looking at those portions and serving sizes. Most times you see it, there'll be like a bottle of juice, and on that bottle of juice it says a serving size, 1 bottle. Well, a bottle isn't, a serving size, because serving size comes in, ounces. It comes in, pounds, so we've got to be mindful of that as well. And we know that the serving size on the labels is based on what the average American eats, not what it's supposed to be. So keeping that in mind. And then just some gentle nutrition, something that you can take with you every day. Just being a little bit better than you were yesterday. So sure, maybe we binge a little bit today, but there's still tomorrow. We can always choose to make a healthier option tomorrow. Or even later on in our meals and our snacks. So before bed, challenge yourself to sit up an extra 30 minutes, let that food digest, and maybe shake out your couch cushions, fluff them up before you go to bed. Just give a little extra movement as well. Okay. We know that weight gain, it causes a lot of issues. It causes a lot of risks for comorbidities like type 2 diabetes, heart conditions, overweight and obesity. We want to monitor those things. So constant movement and being mindful of what we consume on a daily basis helps us with that. Okay, and then lastly, I'd like to introduce the hunger scale. That's something that we like to use for one-on-one, just general counseling, is just being mindful of how hungry am I or how full am I as well. So it allows you to get that happy medium, ask yourself those questions. Am I just eating to be eating? Am I bored? Am I really hungry? Wait that 10 minutes, revisit that question, and if it's true, go ahead and indulge for that snack or that meal. But that's all I have for you all this morning. I think we're doing questions if you have anything.
Yeah, I have a question. How important is water to our diet? Well, as you know, maybe most of you know, 70% of our body, 60 to 70% of our body is water. I think the biggest thing, we do want to stay hydrated, but what are we hydrating ourselves with, right? And so we want to hydrate ourselves with those non-calorie beverages, and water is the best choice because that's what's natural to us. So yes, water is very important. And a lot of times when we're hungry, talking about that hunger scale, it's most of the time we just might be a little dehydrated. So if you drink some water and then wait, if you're still hungry, then go get yourself a snack.
You actually read my mind. I was just going to talk about some of the things that I like to do that are just non-complicated things I've kind of learned as I've gotten older and tried to be healthier and trying to teach my kids. One thing I've learned is if you drink a lot of water, it actually curbs your hunger. If you drink tons of water, you're going to want to eat less. And they say 64 ounces, so that's 8 glasses. That's a good way to start. But honestly, it's even more than that. And the best way to think about it is, I know this is a little weird for a Sunday conversation, but when you're peeing, if your pee is yellow, you probably need more water. And you want it to be clear to light yellow. So that's a good way to know. And unfortunately, when we get like thirsty, we're already dehydrated. Our body's already not getting enough water, and we're already setting ourselves back. So I think what's been great for me, because we're all busy, it's hard, getting a big water bottle, like a metal one, so it saves the earth from plastic, 32 ounces in one of those big ones. It's not heavy. You can do curls with them if you want to get in some exercise too, but I think 32 ounces, you get one of those, you fill it 2 times, you're at the minimum. Fill it 4 times that I tried to do, and you've gotten tons of water. And actually, I don't want to eat more because of that. So.
Yes.
So the answer is yes, it is a possibility. It's more so on the uncommon side, but it also depends on your comorbidities. So if you have like kidney disease or something of that nature, your provider may request that you drink or limit your liquids. So that way you don't add, edema, which is like swelling around the ankles and, throughout the body. So it is a possibility. Yeah. Yep, good question.
Any other questions?
Definitely a great tip. Rinse the rice. It does release some of those added starches and extra starches just from storage and transfer. So definitely rinse off your rice as often as possible. And then, try not to leave it in that fridge for too long just because bacteria starts to build, especially depending on the way that we cool it down. So keep that in mind as well.
And honestly, one thing that Truly was saying about this world we're in now where everything's packaged and can stay in, if it lasts for like years, sometimes you have to be a little weary. Back in the day, what you were talking about when you were a kid, I know my parents always told me about this in the 50s, 60s when they were in India. There were a lot of foods, like you said, that had sugar and butter, but it was all natural stuff and it was all pure. And surprisingly, those people that were eating those things that we would consider unhealthy, they did live to 80, 90. So I think to keep it simple, I'm a big person on keeping it simple. One thing you can do is just focus on natural things that are natural, that are not processed. So even if you're going to have butter in cookies and do other stuff, get the non-processed, really as pure as you can get, and that just helps a lot. And again, another very easy thing is everything in moderation. I mean, that's why we have that saying. So it doesn't mean you have to deprive yourself. I honestly think if you deprive yourself, and I've done it many times trying to be super healthy and saying, okay, I'm gonna cut this out for a year. What happens is you have what's called yo-yoing. You get really, really, you can make it 7 months and then you'll just blow up and you'll be like, okay, and then you'll just binge a whole jug of ice cream. So I think it's better to have a rule maybe if you have problems with something that, hey, I'm only gonna do it 1 day a week and set that time, have a little bit in portions like you said. But we've got to keep everything simple. So you'll get a lot of information. I think it's great. I love those pamphlets, but just keep it simple, start easy. Portions, one thing I learned is the size of your fist. My wife is a clinical psychologist. She was teaching a lot of this stuff to people about how to maintain weight. So for foods that you put on your plate, and correct me if I'm wrong, but she said size of your fist tends to be pretty good for what a serving is for you. You're a smaller person, your fist can be smaller. Bigger person, your fist can be a little bigger. So.
I believe that it's good to not eat while you're watching television.
Oh, definitely. So that kind of falls into place with our mindfulness. Eliminating things that are distracting at your meal times often allows you better digestion. It gives you more, time to connect with, friends, families, or whoever's sitting at your table. It just allows you to clear your mind a little bit better. And you take your time, like I said, Usually if you have pets around, they're begging, so then you're trying to feed them, you're trying to feed yourself. So limiting the distraction around mealtimes definitely does allow you to focus and be more mindful of, what you're eating and how you're eating. So we do have some samples today for you. We have a quinoa salad. So quinoa is one of those grains that we like to talk about. It's got, protein, amino acids, fatty acids. So it's definitely, helpful for, mental stability, physicality, just a little bit of everything. So we'll actually be handing those out after service and when things are wrapped up. We also do have a table over here too with some handouts in regards to everything that we kind of talked with you guys about today. So that way you have some reference and materials to take with you.
But salad good too. A lot of stuff.
Salad's good. Yeah, everything is, salads because they fill you up because they're very leafy. Anything that takes a while to chew sometimes and has fiber makes you more full. Another thing I love that these guys said, and I think it's a good general rule, again, nothing is always, but I love if you're trying to avoid things in your diet, try to avoid anything that's white. So if it's a rice, rice is good, but if you can get brown rice, that's better. Potatoes are good. Red potatoes are actually pretty good, I learned, but if you can have a sweet potato, that's better than a regular white potato. So just again, it's all about keeping it simple. If we get too much in our head, it becomes hard. So as you start the journey that you guys were talking about, just start with little easy things, start to master those, and then slowly, you can get to the level these guys are at and be a master.
I also wanted to say the salad that we're having, it's leafy greens, quinoa, and chicken. So it's a really complete salad where it's not just the leafy greens and you're going to be hungry 15, 20 minutes later. So when you're having salads, thinking about including a meat or a protein of some sort. So it doesn't have to be chicken, it could be beans or whatever you like. And then the quinoa, which is a green, which will also keep you fuller longer as well. So that's something when we're thinking about having vegetables, maybe not just vegetables alone, but something else to kind of help keep you fuller.
Yeah, and a couple other things that I think we talk about fat. Fat was vilified for a long time, and it shouldn't be vilified, but it's the right kind of fat. So you start with some good ones, get lists. Avocado is a great fat. It can taste good. You put it in a blender. It can actually make something almost chocolatey in a way, so that's a good one. Olives are actually a good one. So if you like olives, as long as you're not eating a jar full, because that's got a lot of salt, but that's a good fat. So try to get good fats because your body needs everything, right? It needs protein, it needs carbohydrates, it needs water. So don't say I'm gonna cut out all the fat. Just get good fat if you can. And again, indulge once in a while. Have a family meal and not do that. But I think, again, it's important not to vilify any one thing. Maybe the exception is if you could be really good and try to avoid sugar, that would be great. But that's, again, do it in moderation so you don't get, overwhelmed.
Like fat good on me too. A lot of fat.
Yeah.
So you want to go for the leaner cuts. Yeah, the leaner cuts. Yep.
What are you allergic to?
Wheat.
Oh, wheat, yeah. So luckily, the gluten-free diet has just boomed lately. So there are a lot of our alternatives. I was just talking to somebody that made pancakes out of almond flour, and there's rice flour and oat flour if you get the gluten-free wheat or gluten-free oats. And there's a ton of gluten-free bread, rice, and there's gluten-free pasta. Rice is already gluten-free. So you do have a lot of options, but if you want to get some more ideas, quinoa is gluten-free as well. It's not a flour, so you can have the salad. Yeah.
And if you follow up with us, we could even get some lists. So you can email me and I can try to get some of those. I think the huge thing here also is getting good ingredients. And I realize that's not always easy in some of the areas we are around. So I really applaud what you guys are doing with the fresh food giveaway. I've been to one of those and seen how great the food is. I'm sure you've seen it every Monday, right? And we're trying to spread it. And these guys put a list together of other places that do that. But those are the keys. And I realize it's not always easy to get. So I think it's important for us all to work together and find where you can get those good ingredients. And the nice thing about that is a lot of them spoil quickly. So you get them a week at a time anyways, that's good. But getting the ingredients are important. We know that's a challenge for a lot of us. So we have to work together to kind of get you those good ingredients.
I would also like to add in, buying fresh versus frozen. Frozen is just as good as fresh. They pick it at the peak of ripeness, freeze it individually, and, process it for you. So I'm always shamelessly plugging Aldi, but they have a great selection of frozen vegetables. They have affordable, healthy and unsaturated oils. So things like grapeseed oil would be perfect if you do choose to fry on some of those occasions. And shallow frying is also a great option. So that way you're not adding too much materials. But just wanted to let you know, you could also do fresh or frozen. Kind of avoiding canned just because they tend to pack it in extra sodium for shelf stability.
Over there.
All of those also a great option. Olive oil, grapeseed oil, they all fall underneath the Mediterranean diet, which is one that we tend to encourage everyone to follow. It has a little bit of everything. It's got great sources of fat, great sources of protein. It does limit a little bit of that dairy just because of the properties that it has on the heart. Same with all those other fats and, kind of fatty meats.
Anything else?
I would like to ask something.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. My name is Raul Garcia. I am the Director of Community Relations for Sinai Chicago. And, I'm here to talk about a program that is related to nutrition. Maybe I don't need a mic, right? Okay. I'm here to talk about one of the programs that we have at the Sinai Community Institute. So, Sinai is very well known for our presence in the community. Many people, when they hear about Sinai, they think about, the emergency services, because we are a trauma center, level 1. So many people who are in accidents or violence victims, they come to Sinai. So many people, just think about Sinai, about that. But we are much more than that. We have a lot of community programs, and one of them is the WIC program, which is Women, Infants, and Children. So this program is related to nutrition because it's the way that we care for children, right? I mean, how important is that this information, is teach to children when they are in their young ages. And of course, the moms that are pregnant, and this program is for them, right? The moms that are pregnant and those who have children under 5 years old. So this is a nutritional program. It's a supplemental program that provides food, not only food, but also nutrition classes for the moms, to make sure that those children, are growing up, with a healthy option. So I have some flyers over here. This is a free program for everyone qualifies as a mother or have children below 5 years old. And we have the Sinai Community Institute, which is the building across the street from Mount Sinai Hospital. And we have, a variety of services that are non-clinical services. And of course, we are so proud of our wonderful physicians and the wonderful services that they have. But we believe, and this is the vision of my boss, Deborah Wesley, who 30 years ago, she realized that people in our community need something else. They need employment. They need somebody to take care of their children while they are working or somewhere else. So we have like a lot of programs that are helping the community, that are social programs, non-clinical, and this is one of them. So I have a lot of flyers for you, and I hope you are also interested in learning more about this. Thank you.
So, again, I want to be a friend of this church and be here for you. But as I said in the beginning, I can't do a lot of this. I need people like this that have put a lot of time into this. The nutrition team, they put a lot of time in the background. So I really want to appreciate them and give them a round of applause for coming and helping me do this, because we really need that information. And I think that's the goal of this. So let us know when you need other things you want to talk about, and we'll get them. But can't do this without them. So thank you. Yeah. How long can you go without eating food? I'll let them answer that. My answer would be not very long, but they may have a more.
I would also agree with the doctor, not very long. Eventually, essential organs get shut down without the right nutrients. So, we do need to fuel that body. I encourage my patients not to skip meals. You can also, stretch out meals. So maybe do 4 to 6 small meals a day. And that, maybe eating is a little bit more, work for you. But definitely try not to skip out meals.
It's probably better. I mean, that's a great question. It's probably better to eat small throughout the day. There's a lot of different things that come up, lots of diets and things like that. I think, and these guys could probably verify it, any kind of diet where you're going to starve yourself, first of all, is not sustainable. And you're really going to get the benefits, like for your body, your muscle, everything, is if you just slowly get healthy, and you'll see it'll take longer, but you'll get where you need to be. And I think that was another thing that brought up for me. As we get older, again, you need to talk to your doctor because you have to make sure what underlying health things you might have that restrict you from possibly doing it. But as we get older, we need to get more protein. I think it's actually really, we see a lot of older people. My parents are both in their almost 80s. They're really healthy, but I'm noticing that they are shrinking away their muscle. And muscle is what helps you burn calories, helps you, your body work like a powerhouse. So I think, especially our elder community members, as you said, talk to your doctor first because we have to make sure kidneys work and all those things. But if you get the go-ahead, I honestly think you need more protein. You got to focus on that when you're younger and older. So after you talk to your doctor, if they say you're good, aim for 1 gram of protein for every pound you have. And again, that's a lot of information, but I do think when you're older, really focus on protein because that helps you keep your muscles going. And you need that for, again, to burn calories, but also to be able to move, right? It gets harder to stand up and move when we don't have muscles. So.
And I'll just add to it's kind of like a fasting. If you're fasting for religious purposes, right? I've heard of some churches doing 40-day fasts, but you can. Sorry, I'll go. Just fasting for religious purposes. I think I've heard of churches doing like 40-day fasts, but some people really can't do that, and it's can be very dangerous as well. So there's other ways to fast, or you can fast from certain, like you can fast from sugar, you can fast the Daniel fast. So take that in mind when you're thinking about fasting. You can fast for 24 hours. That's totally fine, but not for extended periods of time. I just wanted to throw out.
Just make sure to take care of your health when you do that stuff. Talk to your doctors, but I agree. That can be very dangerous, especially for people in our community that potentially have issues trying to do something for a religious purpose, but then actually hurting yourself. And I'm sure God doesn't want us to hurt ourselves. They want us to be, we've got to take our health into consideration too.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about the handouts that we have for you all. First one's going to be quick tips for reading food labels. So we do have a copy of that with an actual food label and the guideline on how to read it and what to look for. We also have the Be Salt Smart. So this talks again about reading food labels, monitoring your sodium, and what foods contain those higher sodiums. We also have a list of food resources. So once again, this is what's truly put together for us. It has all the local food pantries, food banks that give out fresh fruits and vegetables. Okay. We also have the recipe for our sample salad today, which is that grilled chicken and quinoa and kale salad. So if you want to replicate this, if you like it enough today, you can go home and make it for later on this week or maybe even tonight. And then lastly, our heart healthy nutrition therapy. So this goes into, a lot of those questions that you guys have about, maneuvering through your diets throughout your day, making those healthy choices. There's also sample guidelines and meal prep ideas in here for you folks. I know some people are very keen on meal prep, so this might really be helpful for you too. So like I said, we're going to have them on this table, so if you're going to come by and grab whatever you like, you can take as many as you want. And thank you.
I want to celebrate the Sinai team. Thank you so much for being the team. Thank you guys for being here. make sure you take advantage of the pamphlets, and also thank Ms. Stewart for being here. What a beautiful day we've had. People got saved, people got healthy, people got insurance. How about that? Give God a praise. And we will keep you informed of the next time we have you guys come out. But thank you, and thank you again. You guys have a beautiful rest of your Sunday. Bless you. Make sure you get that salad that's downstairs and save me one. How about that?